commission. I think several members were in attendance at that site walk. It was discussed, and I haven't been made aware or received any indication of new changes to that site. So I think it remains in the same situation.
Okay,
So
very
there
good.
was a site walk for Carol Ann McLean there. So you
So
did,
the site walk in 2020 was for a application for a jurisdictional ruling for farm work.
yeah,
The commission walked the site and then gave an approval. And then I did the separate site walk to investigate whether or not any work, any regulated activity had been conducted in the area that might have caused the issue that the residents have been expressing concern over, and I was not able to find any regulated activity or any indication of regulated activity taking place.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm just having trouble making sense of, what she's talking about, for, the water issues there. Maybe I'm missing something, so I mean, is everybody else kind of clear as to what's going on there?
Well, Isabel, I have one question and a comment, probably. Refresh my memory. It's been 3 years since we did that site visit, if I
Right.
recall. It's been a while. I think John Valenti actually was still engaged.
Yes.
There is some claim that we are allowing the parcel of land next to them to divert excess water, and that we allowed changes. Could you refresh my memory? What changes would we have allowed to possibly have them thinking that water is being diverted to their properties?
Let me see. So I was not present at the site walk. I'm actually pulling up, the minutes are very helpful. There is some discussion of a pipe that was coming off of taking drainage off of the road, and as part of the approved work, as part of the jurisdictional ruling, some of that was diverted to be used in the farming activity on the
Sure.
site. I
Okay.
don't think that is, in my opinion, from what I have seen, I
Okay.
have not seen any evidence that that is causing a new or unusual issue on the property. I think that unfortunately this is the natural character of wetlands and of the land there. It is very sloped and adjacent to a significant river, and that area
Right.
is wet.
Right. Well, that's my comment, Isabel. My sense is, and having had to do a fair amount of data and research for the watershed area on
Mhm.
Columbia Lake, as well as for other wetlands that we may happen to open or own, is that the big change I have seen is there's a heck of a lot of rain and the intensity of rain. And in the particular wetlands we own, which has a very hilly sloped area, when it rains, the down or flat side of that hilly slope, when you get down to it, it floods because our water table is saturated, if not oversaturated.
Mhm.
So I look at these properties, the one they're complaining about and the two owners next door, and they have a large slope hill that goes down in essence to a flatland to the river. So my sense is the big change is Mother Nature. And we're getting twice as much rain this year as we ever anticipated on average. We're already at 54 inches of rain this year. We
Right.
averaged 25.
Wow.
Could this be something? I'm finding this in some of the research we've done for our wetlands. Could this be something impacting that property?
Yeah, I think that is extremely likely. Unfortunately, it does seem like we say this kind of every year that rain has been unusually significant and intense. And in this case, it's been consistent throughout the whole year that we've had a significant amount of rain. We've had a lot of very intense rain,
Yep.
and there are a lot of areas that are being flooded. In the land use department, we have had several residents come in with concerns about water in their basement.
Yep.
Potential issues with water runoff from neighbors' properties. And it's not due to activity that's recent. There hasn't been recent activity in but these instances. We've been really inundated.
Well, and since 2021, we had in 2021 September, as I recall, what John Valenti was calling a 50-year event. It happens
Yes.
once in 50 years. That totally took out a lot of our wetlands, changed water flow of where the water was coming from. It created its own, Mother Nature again, created its own, because of the vigorous and intense rain, pathways, and they weren't necessarily the pathways that were going into storm culverts. So I mean, my ilk is, and just looking at these photographs and based on the site visit, Mother Nature is causing a lot of this, and that's something we don't control.
Right. I agree.
Yes.
Isabel, do you happen to know if the state's LiDAR topography maps have pre and post the concern being raised? Because if there is LiDAR data, like you can compare those pretty quick and prove that the overland flow of water didn't change.
Thank you, Ian.
That's a good point. I don't know if that has been updated, but I can look into that.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, if there's, I mean, you got to, if you compare a line to a line there, you're going to see that they've changed just because of the accuracy of LiDAR data. But if that's an ability to do that and say pre and post the overland flow, yes, there was minor changes, you know, but by and large at the property line, if the water flow didn't change, then there's not really, you can change how water flows on your land as long as it approaches the edge of your land, it doesn't change.
Correct.
And I think also get the sense from some of these emails and past discussions that the understanding is that no water is allowed to cross over your property line, which is not the case. It's you're not allowed to increase or adjust the quantity that like, so if you get 100-year storm and at 100-year storm, there's 1,000 gallons of water that leaves your property. In the next 100-year storm, you're still allowed to allow that 100 or 1,000 gallons off your property. It's not, you can't take all the water from that's leaving, you know, the entire perimeter and put it on one side of the perimeter. And I don't know if that's some of the confusion with the regulations. I gather that there's some, like, you got to keep the water on your own property. I've heard that several times, and that's not the case. I mean, if that's the case, every single one of us would be at fault on our own properties. Like that's just not the way the regulations work. And I don't know if that's some clarification that needs to be made, but I do agree with everybody that the rain events we're getting, I mean, the state has changed their storm flow calculations to include extreme rainfall events. And so DOT, all their designs are now rainfall events that I think are 11.5 inches or something like that per storm event. Like the environment is changing, and like it's I think that's a large part that we're seeing.
Yes, and I have had that conversation with the residents a couple of times to try to clarify that point. We do have older maps that I think I brought up originally when I did my investigation of the site that indicate that area as wetlands. So I do think it's a fairly consistent area of wetlands at that point. I haven't looked into whether or not the LiDAR data has been updated, though. I can check on that. It's a good point to note.
Okay, yeah. The weather changes sure has a lot to do with it. And if you look at other places like the Mississippi River, it's so low that some of the boats can't get through. So depending on where you are, you know, it's a weather event. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're getting, oh, do we have any audience of citizens here tonight? Anybody want to talk? Nope.
Oh,
Don't-
it looks like we might, you
Wait.
might be muted on, Squad Pad.
You're muted.
There you go. Squad Pad, you're unmuted.
Yes, 146. We're listening.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. Not audience of citizens, so we will get to your application shortly.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, hearing none, well, at a later time, we will go on, new business. Item 6.1 IWWC 2324-16, the application of Karen Lewis to replace, what's that?
I'm sorry,
I think somebody just cleared their throat.
I did. I better mute myself.
Okay, the application of Karen Lewis to replace an existing lake wall and existing dock with a proposed extension at 214 Route 87. You want to give us a little background on that, Isabel?
Sure. So we have the LMAC application, which has been forwarded to everyone in addition to the wetlands application. Ms. Lewis would like to replace the wall located at her property, which is really deteriorating due to age. The replacement wall will be natural stone, dry laid, and it will have crushed stone at the base and behind the wall. So fairly consistent with a lot of the lake walls that we see. She's proposing a 4-foot extension of the present dock because of the shallow water level, and there are some protruding rocks in the area near the cove, which have been a bit of a danger. So the longer dock will provide a safer area to keep the boat that the residents have. And I think that's what we have for now. Ultimately, we should likely schedule a site walk and go out to see the area in person with the commission.
Okay, so we'll put that near the end of the agenda here to get a site walk set up. Okay, next application, item 6.2 IWWC 2324-17.
John, do we need to accept that application?
Oh, I thought
Oh,
we,
yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, do I have a motion to accept that application?
I'll make a motion to accept the application.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
So
Aye.
moved. Very good. Okay, so item 6.2, jurisdictional ruling of Michael Lester for a dry hydrant for the town of the Columbia Fire Department use. And I think I saw someone here. Michael is here.
Fire marshal.
I'm here.
Fire marshal, yeah, okay. You want to give us a little background on that?
Yeah, the fire department's looking to put some dry hydrants along Route 6 and 66 East. There's one currently at Rose's Bridge. The new bridge over Hop River Road is going to be one incorporated in the project. We just put one in on Parker Bridge Road on the Coventry side. And we're looking to get this one in. It's on state property. I'm working with a gentleman by the name of Dave Buckley out of Marlboro. He's with the DEEP. He has the same application that I submitted to Isabel and to the commission for tonight's meeting. But I want to get this started on the town of Columbia side. So when the state finally comes through on their end, we'll be able to start right away if it's all approved. It's going to be on Flanders Road. I don't know if Flanders Road. If you're familiar with the bridge is, just before the bridge on the right-hand side, there's a little path that goes down to the rails for trails, and we're looking to access the river from that point down there. Have to take down about 5 or 6 trees. And then the contractor who's out of Coventry, Earth Dynamics, they would put in the dry hydrant, and it takes about a day. Any questions?
What's a dry hydrant?
Dry hydrant is a access point for the fire department to go and draft water out in case there's in case of a fire. It's usually around a 6-inch piece of Schedule 40 pipe, and it gets buried. And they're around the lake. There's one at the town beach. There's one at the dam. There's one on Donai Road. There's one on
Yeah, I've seen them.
Rose's
I mean,
Bridge, yeah.
I was just confused by the term dry hydrant. So
Yeah.
it's actually piped right into the river?
It's piped into a water source. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're finding that the ponds are a problem because of the growth in the ponds and the muck and all that stuff. It becomes a problem to get there. But the moving water, we seem to have better luck maintaining those than the pond ones.
Mhm. Okay,
Did you say this was on state property or is it on?
It is on state property, yes. But
So is
I
it,
didn't know if we had to go through this commission or not, so that's why the state is working on it on their side, and I didn't know if we needed permission from this commission to get it, to do it.
yeah, I was gonna say, Isabel, I think we don't have jurisdiction on state property. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So we actually don't have jurisdiction over dry hydrant installation. It is permitted as a non-regulated use in wetlands and water courses. I have the language from the regulations that I could read as well. So this application itself is for that jurisdictional ruling because it's not self-determining. And the commission would essentially vote as to whether or not they feel there is jurisdiction. Section 4.2 of our regulations state that the following operations, including installation of a dry hydrant, shall be permitted as a non-regulated use in wetlands and water courses, provided they do not disturb the natural and indigenous character of the wetland or water course by removal or deposition of material, alteration or obstruction of water flow, or pollution of the wetland or water course. So as long as there is not activity to such a significant degree that the commission has concern for the indigenous character of the water course, then it would be considered non-jurisdictional.
okay,
And I have a brief summary ruling as well for the commission to
Yes.
vote on, if so choose.
would you read it?
I will share it here. And essentially it restates what I just said. The motion would be that the proposed activity is permitted as a non-regulated use per section 4.2C of the commission's regulations, as the natural and indigenous character of the wetland and water course will not be disturbed. Applicant Michael Lester, Columbia Volunteer Fire Department, Fire Marshal at Flanders Road, Assessors Map 8, Lot 15 in the CM1 zone.
Okay,
Second,
very good. So do we have a motion to approve it?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
happy to second. Second,
Oh, any discussion? Yeah. If there's no discussion, then
makes sense.
we'll, do we have a second?
Second,
Mary seconded it.
Harry seconded. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, so
Aye.
moved. Very good. I
Thank
guess
you very much. Appreciate it.
unanimous. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
bye, Mike.
Bye.
Okay, item 6.3, the approval of the 2024 meeting schedule. Everybody's taken a look at that and it looks pretty good to me. Anybody have any comments? Okay. So do I have a motion to accept that
I'll
schedule?
make a motion to accept.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Okay, now we have item 6.4. I'm not sure what the number is. IWWC 2324-18. Or
Yes,
19.
so this, let me see, I'm not sure what the number would be as of tonight. We have not officially received an application, so this is kind of preliminary just to update the commission on the current status of the location. So let's see, I'm pulling up the application numbers now. Ultimately, it will be 2324-18.
18.
Yep, I guess that's what I said.
Thank you, John. Sorry, it took me a minute to get there.
Okay. Okay,
Um,
want to give us a quick review?
Sure. So I'll kind of just introduce it from what I'm aware of, and then I think Brad Korth is here as a representative of the project, and he can fill in my gaps here.
Okay.
Dartmouth Village has a fair amount of wetlands behind it. There's a pond and associated wetlands, as well as some areas that were flagged as created wetlands when the project was first developed. The septic is in need of repair and did receive approval through Eastern Highlands Health Department recently. Work began and I was made aware of it at the end of last week. So I went out to the site. There is silt fence in place. There's been a significant amount of excavation done, but it doesn't appear that it is in wetlands from what I've compared between the two plans that I do have. And the silt fence is functional. So I don't think that any wetlands have been directly impacted. I'm not sure what the timeline is ultimately for finishing the installation. The septic systems will serve, I believe, 5 buildings. I'm not sure how many residents, all of whom will need to have a functioning septic through the winter. I'm not sure what the current status is of the system there.
Okay, anybody have any questions? If not, do I hear a motion to accept the application?
I'll make a motion to accept the application.
Second,
Second,
all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. So moved. So I don't, Isabel, do you think we need a site walk there or not?
Well, I think that, like I said, it is relatively close to what seems to be the flagged wetlands, but the site is controlled. And the excavation has been kept outside of the wetlands, which I think is fairly well managed, all things considered. I think it may be beneficial for the commission to see it in person if you think it would be best to handle it through a commission application. If that is the case, I think it would require ultimately a 2-week waiting period, 14 days, in which case it might be prudent to have a site walk on that 14th day so that the commission could potentially approve the project at the site walk rather than waiting until December.
Okay,
is this a replacement of a
It is.
system? Okay,
Yes, and the leach fields are being replaced as well. Is that right, Brad? Oh, you're muted here. 1 second. Okay, I've unmuted you.
Yeah, we're replacing the existing septic systems, which if we're looking at it from a wetlands perspective, there's obviously the aspect of where you're putting the system there, but the current systems are up to about 6 feet deep. What we think actually originally happened when this area was developed is that they put the septic systems on top of the ground and they just filled in up to about 6 or 7 feet. And conversely, what we're doing now is the septic systems are only going to be 14 inches deep. So essentially stuff is sitting in groundwater at this point in time with the existing systems, while we're going to be spreading out and give it a chance for water to be treated.
okay. So we'll set up a site walk for that application then.
Okay, I'll ask the question, how is that gonna impact our schedule? Right now, what they've done is that they've just done a scarification of the topsoil, and that's where we're saying then they've been putting some tanks in, but they'd be ready to put the systems in. And one thing that's happened there because of other aspects of mostly getting funding and that we're, the weather is really ready to impact us, and we're trying to finish it before the bad weather. There's quite a bit of septic sand that's coming in to replace the existing fill material.
Well, I think Isabel said it has to be done 14 days after tonight.
So at this stage, the commission, I think the determination, and I'll try to provide as much information as I have, and again, ask Brad questions as we need to as well to make the determination. I don't believe that the work is being done within the wetland.
Okay.
At this stage, it is kind of an unintentional violation, and so the best path forward may be either through commission approval, which would require the 14-day waiting period, or through administrative approval, which could be done in a more timely manner. So I'd like to just share some of the information that I do have, and I think that the first step would be to vote, or for the commission to make a determination as to whether or not a commission approval would be most appropriate, or administrative approval would be most appropriate in this instance. Generally with septic systems, I do them administratively. Given that this started without the appropriate permits, and given the scope of it, I did want to bring it to the commission at this stage to make that determination, and to make everyone aware of the activity that's been going on.
Okay, so
So Isabel, I mean, my ilk is, initially you said this is not impacting the wetlands area.
right.
It's already been approved by Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you have to have that before we put a system in. So can we have a motion that it be an administrative approval similar to what Isabel has done prior?
Yes, I think that would be a good thing to do. Okay, do we have a motion to make it an administrative approval? Mary, did you want to make that motion?
Sure, I'd like to make that motion. Thank you.
Second?
I'll second.
Oh.
Ron, second it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, very good.
I'll ask a couple of this to make sure I do it. Do you want me to do an application? I'll get an application in tomorrow if you want me to do an application.
Yes, so the path to remedy the situation here, you'll submit an application for an administrative approval. I've already seen the site, so it should be fairly quick, and then I will provide you with language to place in the Chronicle to notice the approval that you've been granted by the commission, and by myself as the wetlands agent. From there is a 15-day appeal period in which any concerned party who sees that notice in the paper could potentially appeal the approval to the commission. And you may do work in that time, but that any work is done at your own risk, and may have to be stopped or undone should there be an appeal.
Okay. Fee? I wasn't sure. What is the fee? Because I make sure I get that with the application.
For an administrative approval, it's $185.
I shall do that, do the application and get that along with the fee there. Hopefully tomorrow there is a goal.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, next item is old business, item 7.1 IWWC 2324-15, the application of Christopher Want to remove and replace an existing concrete dock and floating raft at 146 Route 87. Want to give us some background on that, Isabel? I think that was our site walk, wasn't it? One of our
Yes.
sites?
Yes, that was our site walk. We when we went to the location, you may remember there was already silt fence in place actually related to an administrative approval granted to replace the deck at the back of the property and
Right.
to do some infiltration associated with the nutrient allocation plan for that work. This project will involve replacing and removing the existing concrete dock. There are some fairly significant cracks in the dock that present a danger to people walking on it. It's shifting and is unlikely to be repaired at this current stage. And it poses a significant risk for further deterioration just from the freeze thaw cycle with the existing cracks that are in place. So the dock will be removed, and along with some of the concrete steps that are there, and it will be replaced with a new aluminum dock, which is removable. This application, of course, went to LMAC as well. I know that there was some discussion at the site walk as to the size of the dock. I'm not sure where they ended up with that, or if that's been revisited or changed. Mary, can you update us on that?
Sure, happy to. LMAC met, excuse me, last week. I guess it was the 1st of November. And we've reached the consensus in 2 areas. Area number 1 is we have recommended to the Board of Selectmen and sent a letter, because we only recommend, the board approves, that the demolition phase be initiated as soon as possible, because they want to do this during the lake drawdown between now and March 15th. So we did approve the demolition, and they have an excellent demolition plan that does not harm the lake bed and how they're, and this is a huge concrete dock with concrete footing, and they really have it well planned. So our compliments to Chris for that. The second area was a hiccup that we tabled, and we will get a letter to the Board of Selectmen in the December meeting. And it's the changing of the structure or size of the dock. It's could be one of 2 structures. Both of them are better for the lake than a concrete footing and a concrete dock. And it's just a matter of a site map being updated before we choose which one and send a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen.
Hey, any questions? Okay, if not, do we have a summary ruling on that?
Yes.
Okay. Would you read it, Isabel?
Pulling it up now. So this is for IWWC 2324-15, the application of Chris Want at 146 Route 87 to remove the existing concrete dock and steps and replace with a removable aluminum dock that can be altered depending on LMAC's application. Of course, we have standard conditions that the Inland Wetlands Commission agent is to be notified 48 hours before the commencement of any part of the activity approved, and that the granting of this permit does not relieve the applicant from obtaining additional permits and or approvals required by other agencies, federal, state, and local, which would apply to LMAC. That's something that we did discuss at the site walk. We'd like this to be clear that it does not supersede the any approval or recommendation of approval granted by LMAC. We have, again, our fairly consistent conditions of approval, which I'll skip over. Special consideration is to be given to Columbia Lake, which is designated as a wetlands of special concern. Silt fence and hay bales shall be placed above the site to be disturbed to minimize stormwater runoff to the area. No heavy machinery shall be used on the lake bed directly. Maintenance practices as necessary to assure proper functioning of erosion and sedimentation measures will be followed, including routine monitoring and removal of sediment, and repairs if necessary. Controls to be monitored prior to forecasted rain events and after forecasted rain events of 3/4 of an inch or greater. All work shall be completed during lake drawdown between October 15th and March 15th in even numbered years, or November 15th and March 15th in odd numbered years. The applicant, Chris Want, is assigned responsibility for implementing the erosion and sediment control plan. This responsibility includes the installation and maintenance of control measures, informing all parties engaged on the construction site of the requirements and objectives of the plan, and notifying the Wetlands Commission Office of any transfer of this responsibility.
Okay, very good. So do I hear a motion to approve the summary motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Oh,
Either or.
second.
Mhm.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, that takes care of that item. Next item, approval of the meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2023?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Good. Do I hear a second?
Second it.
Ron, seconded. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
And the special meeting site walk minutes of October 14th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'm gonna abstain. I was not there.
Me
Okay.
either.
Someone seconded?
There's no one here that was there. Besides
I'm not
you.
sure any of us were there. Done.
Maybe I can do it.
There you
There you
go.
go.
Thank you.
Alright, I'll make it. Okay.
You have to do it, John.
I have to. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
One abstention.
Okay, audience of citizens, anybody there, out there, want to say anything? I guess not. Commission open discussion. Any open discussion? No? Okay. Administrative reports, Isabel, you got any?
Actually, none to report on currently.
Wow.
Okay.
Holy moly.
We cannot adjourn until we make I think we have one site walk to take care of here.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
for Carol Lewis.
Lewis. Yeah.
Carol Lewis, okay.
Karen. Karen Lewis.
Karen, yep.
Sorry.
see,
I
that-
did, LMAC did a preliminary one. We'd like to join with wetlands.
okay.
The extension of the dock, I think is something that is worthy. But I think we need a site walk for people to understand why.
How about the 11th on
Ugh,
Saturday? Is that a
Let's see.
bad time?
I am not available. Well, what time?
I will
I'm
not be
avail-
available. Actually, that is the
Oh.
Kakiwik conference.
Oh, heck.
Okay. 18th, I can't make it.
I'm not available.
What about Sunday?
Yeah, I'm traveling
Oh, you're traveling, okay.
on the 18th and 19th.
18th, oh, and 19th. And Thanksgiving is that, I think, on the
Mm,
23rd. So that whole weekend is gonna be shot.
Hmm.
We're gonna have visitors. How about on a weeknight? Well, 5 o'clock. It'd have to be before 5 o'clock.
Yeah, we're losing sunlight now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Let's
How
see.
about 4 o'clock on maybe the 15th of
I'm out of town.
okay.
And you can do it without me. Jim Santos could be there, or Rob Millard from LMAC.
Okay, so the 15th, they can make it at 4 o'clock. Everybody else?
Yeah, it's good for me.
I'll
Okay.
check with him.
Me too.
All right, 15th at 4 PM.
And I'll get hopefully someone from LMAC to be there.
Thank you.
If not, Isabel, I'll call you and explain the two potential issues
All right, that sounds good.
for lengthening the
Yeah.
dock.
So now do we have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yes.
Oh, Mary made the demand.
Happy to do that one.
Second.
All right, I'll
Who's gonna
second it.
All right, John. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
Hasta la vista, everybody. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks,
All
Good
everyone.
night, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Have a good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.